Captain Cross, Emil Cross, has known Christian for a long time. I think they go way back, and I think it's right to say that Captain Cross persuaded Christian to join the Powers Division. He could see that having somebody who had been a power and no longer had that power would have particular insight. So he persuaded him to join the newly formed Powers Division, which is a very sort of, it's very low down on the totem pole when we start the series. It's very sort of underfunded. It's a bit of a laughing stock. They're not seen as being particularly effective. And that possibly changes as the season goes on. But I think they have a slightly combative relationship. But I think Emil is very aware of how uniquely useful Christian is to the department.
Can you talk a little bit about the mission of the Powers Division? Like, are they trying to send people to this shaft prison? Or?
Well, initially they're there just to kind of clear up the mess that is caused by these people. The sort of, I'm sure you're all aware of the sort of premise of the show. But the people with powers, some behave well and some behave terribly. And the Powers Division is there to kind of clear up the mess. But Emil and a character called Trip Hammer sort of become aware that things may escalate, probably will escalate to the point where the danger of what the powers are doing is really increased to a sort of global scale. So they have to start thinking about a way to do something about it. And that's one of the threads going through the series, is how they're going to deal with these people's powers.
Did Christian interact with, or did Cross interact with Christian at all when he had powers?
I think he did. I mean, I talked to Charlie about it, Charlie Houston, our showrunner and sort of guru of the whole series. And I think they possibly did. And I think my feeling is that Emil spotted early on that Christian was someone he could potentially work with. He had certain qualities that would be useful, and that's why I think he went after him to persuade him to join the police force, which, when he presented the idea to Christian, was just really from left field and crazy, but he was very persuasive.
Of all the powers that you've seen so far, which one intrigues you the most personally?
Well, they're all pretty cool. It's like playing with the cool kids. I think Wolf, he's so mysterious and he's so dark and his powers are so strong that I think he's the most intriguing for me. I think it's hysterical, and I love the fact that some of the powers come in and they're sort of wannabe powers and behave terribly and don't really know what to do with their powers. I really like all of that. But there's something really sort of dark and deep about Wolf that is very intriguing. So,
what is Cross's relationship like with Dina? How far do they go back?
well, I think Emil knew Dina's dad, Waldo Pilgrim, and he was, although not in the Powers Division, Waldo was in the same police force. In Oro Brockell, is that how we pronounce it?
What was that?
Is it Oro Brockell? Is that how we pronounce the name of the city? Yeah.
I am actually not sure. I think that's a
I've
good...
seen it written, but I've not heard anyone say it. Oro Brockell. So I think he's probably known of Dina since she was a kid. And I think, again, one of Emil's traits is that he can spot talent, and particular talents. And I think he's spotted her. He knows she's a bit of a rebel, and he's brought her into into the Powers Division and pairing her up with Christian. She's really skilled, really professional. Christian is brilliant, but he's not always the most professional. So putting them together, I think, to him seemed like a really good idea.
You've mentioned.
Did you read the comics in your preparation for the role?
I didn't. I knew nothing about them at all. I'd never even seen a graphic novel. But as soon as I heard about this, I went and found the first, certainly the first one that this is based on. And immediately I looked at them, I got why they're so popular. There's just something, I mean, I don't have to explain what it is, but there's just something about seeing the pictures, seeing the way they're set out, seeing the drama, that's almost like watching a really cool movie. It really grabs you in a very different kind of way. So I kind of really got it as soon as I started looking at them. But no, I didn't know anything about powers or... and then suddenly this whole world opened up. And all sorts of people in your life, you know, randomly from all over the place suddenly kind of out themselves as Powers fans and graphic novel fans, which is kind of cool.
You mentioned some of the things that you think you assume about Cross's backstory. How much do you actually know at this point? How much will viewers learn in what you've filmed so far?
Well, I was able to talk with Brian and Charlie before we started work on it, and just try to glean as much as I possibly could from them. And then we sort of made some stuff up. But we're trying to keep everything really specific to what plays out in the stories. So any backstory that I, as an actor, want to bring to it is something that we want to make sure comes out in the story and is useful and feeds that and helps to raise the stakes and so on. And I think one of the main things about Emil that we talked about is that he has very deep faith. And for him, that is a sort of, it's almost like his power, because it shields him from getting too caught up with what he sees as the sort of the nonsense of what is the attraction of these people with powers, because they're the cool people and they're the attractive people and they're the sexy, successful celebrity people, and he's not interested in any of that. He's not impressed with any of that. So for me, working on and thinking about his faith was very important.
Does that tie in with your secret agenda, the faith element?
Kind of obliquely it does. Yeah, I think another thing, to your point, another thing about Emil is that family is very important to him and his children, and therefore he's thinking about the future. And what he learns with Triphammer and discusses with Triphammer, that his children's, not his future, but his children's future is going to be impacted by the way this goes, by what happens with the powers. And that, again, for me as the actor and for Emil the character, provides incentive and motivation for his sort of crazed obsession with dealing with this problem. He's going to stop at nothing. So those are real strong engines for his sort of what's driving him: his kids, his family, and his faith.
Are you excited to be part of a series that has a new kind of distribution through the PlayStation Network?
Yeah, it's really thrilling, and I think, you know, we're all aware that, you know, Netflix and Amazon and now PlayStation are doing it, and so again, when I heard about it, it made complete sense. The whole landscape is changing, and it seems completely irrelevant where you get your content from, as long as you can get it. So it's amazing to be sort of in the middle of this kind of explosion going on, where everything is changing. So I'm really excited to be a part of the new way things are being done. And, you know, for us working on the show, you know, it's no different in a sense. I mean, the sort of values and the way this show is being shot and made feels exactly like, you know, anything else. So it's exciting, and it's also sort of irrelevant, yeah, for us.
Can you talk a little bit about why this particular show is perfect for the PlayStation Network?
I don't know that I can. I guess, listen, I can only conjecture because I really don't know, but I guess the crossover with gaming and the fact that this comes from a graphic novel, and so those worlds are very kind of related. So it seems like a sensible, sort of smart fit. If you're streaming this through PlayStation, you've been playing easily into the world of our show. So I guess that's it.
I'm curious, you mentioned this was the first Powers division. So where does the Shaft come in? Was it something they repurposed, or did that prison always exist for Powers?
I think it was repurposed. I think looking at the set, this unbelievable set that's through there, I don't know if you've had a chance to look.
Yeah. Massive.
It sort of has the feel of something that was like a nuclear bunker, or, I don't know. I'm only guessing. But I suspect it's been repurposed.
Did it exist before the Powers division then, or?
Listen, I may be wrong, but I think it might well have been. It might have been built for some kind of nuclear purpose or something. They clearly invested a lot in it, and to build the whole thing from scratch would have been absolutely epic, but because it seems to go down about 8 or 9 levels. So my guess is it may have been something that pre-existed and that we've repurposed, but don't quote me.
Can you talk a little bit about how the sets affect your performance? Because it's such a massive, awesome sound stage.
Yes, it is. It is. And, we had this sort of pre-production week, and I went down with Charlie and we looked at everything. And I looked from the gallery, I don't know if you've seen from up there, where you can see the whole thing up on the 2nd floor. And it looks like a sort of massive movie set. I did a film years ago with Tim Burton, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and Tim, wanted everything built. So we used all these sound stages, and this to me feels sort of almost on that scale. So for us, it's great. You walk into the shaft and you get lost. There's no acting required. So that really helps, really helps. I think the sets are really awesome, and anything like that helps us. So,
Do you feel a certain weight or responsibility being a new show in this sort of comic book to TV genre?
I mean, I guess the comic book movie thing is really, it's, sort of established, isn't it? But I don't know. I don't know that we're thinking like that. Now that you say it, I suddenly feel the weight. But I think we're just getting on and telling the story and doing the show, and I don't think we're, as actors, necessarily aware of that weight.
Because it's also when you look at the other comic book TV shows and movies, it's a very different thing entirely. It's not your typical superhero story. No,
it isn't. It isn't. It's got elements. I mean, there's a middle-aged love story, right in there, and the sort of darkness of it, the sort of low rentness of it. I think it. Each of those different things bring their own unique thing, but I think Powers. I guess. I guess it does have its own unique thing. I mean, I'm not that familiar with all of the others, so you're probably better placed to judge that. I should be asking you. Very different. That's good to know. Thank you.
Sorry, I wanted to go back to what you said about the lengths he was willing to go to.
Yes.
How far are they willing to go? I mean, you talked about his sort of crusade and protecting his children. I mean, does he want to eradicate the Powers? Is he willing to bend every rule possible?
I don't want to give everything away, but he will do whatever it takes. I think nothing matters more to him than to deal with this problem and save his kids and save the world. So everything is on the table.